I'm Lisa, and I'm the mom half of this duo.
And I'm Shada. I'm Lisa's daughter. And welcome to Two Peas in a Plot, our little corner of the internet where we talk all things books.
We read across genres and love everything from underrated gems to longtime favorites.
And just a quick heads up while we try to avoid spoilers, we do talk about what we liked or didn't, so there might be a few light spoilers along the way just to give you some context.
So if you love stories and want to grow your TBR, hit that subscribe button and join the plot. Hello and welcome back. Today's book is Miss Benson's Beetle by Rachel Joyce. This was published in 2020. Last week, Shada picked my next book to read, which ended up being this book, which is in one of my want to read stacks. So I'm going to read the back of the book for the best explanation of this book, and then I'll go with my interpretation of what I thought about it. It is 1950. London is still reeling from World War II, and Margery Benson, a school teacher and spinster, is trying to get through life surviving on scraps. One day, she reaches her breaking point, abandoning her job and small existence to set out on an expedition to the other side of the world in search of her childhood obsession, an insect that may or may not exist, the golden beetle of New Caledonia. When she advertises for an assistant to accompany her, the woman she ends up with is the last person she had in mind, fun-loving Enid Pretty, in her tight-fitting pink suit and pom-pom sandals, seems to attract trouble wherever she goes. But together these two British women find themselves drawn into a cross-ocean adventure that exceeds all expectations and delivers something neither of them expected to find: the transformative power of friendship. And lately, I've been on a kick on friendships and books, even with YA novels I've been reading lately. My first impression was that this book would be the focus of a friendship and have a lighthearted journey to find the elusive beetle. A friendship is gradually formed between the two women, however, not initially. Margery and Enid are complete opposites, and it is nice to see when the women really start to bond and build one another up. What I did not expect was that a certain character that did not get the assistant job with Miss Benson ends up stalking Miss Benson to New Caledonia. I also did not expect for Miss Benson to struggle and somehow be unprepared to lead this expedition, but she leans on Enid Pretty, the assistant that she hires at the last minute, who really takes the lead in finding everything they need once they reach New Caledonia in order to continue their adventure. They've actually lost equipment and luggage from their journey and have visa issues. The book takes the time to develop the friendship and the many situations that must overcome to look for this elusive beetle. Both women have many reasons for this journey and are very different from one another, but their bond and I believe eventual love for one another helps to accept their differences. In a way, this shows how much two of them may be more alike than they first thought and also need one another as they have no other family to speak of. Throughout the book, they seem to challenge one another during this adventure and get out of their comfort zones to experience life and what it has to offer. Enid is the more positive and joyful person, but has had a lot of heartache, and Margery tends to be negative or more studious, but also has had heartache in her life. But they both have let it affect them differently. It really is a good book, a very emotional read, and you learned about the characters and felt for each one in different ways. For me personally, I wish the ending was different, but it did end well by the final chapter. For me, again, as the reader, hopefully that makes sense if you read the book or you choose to read it later. It just didn't end the way I wanted it to. Again, this book is Miss Benson's Beetle by Rachel Joyce. And I have to say, in the beginning, when you first meet Margery, she's kind of like the main character, I believe. She has a meltdown she's a teacher, and it seems like it's an all girls class, and they're writing a note or passing a note that they've written, and they're making fun of Miss Benson, and she just loses it. She's been teaching for a while. She throws the note away. She leaves the class. She goes into the teacher's break room. I think she just doesn't know where to go. And she steals some boots and then takes off running to catch a bus home. And she's living on scraps basically. So she only has one pair of shoes that are really beaten up. But she takes these new boots, and that just tells you her frame of mind at that point. And she knows she can't go back to work. And now the police are after her to get the boots back. It is a really cute book. It's more emotional than I wanted it to be, but that's just me as a reader. I think I still would have read it if I knew the ending could tend to be sad to me, because it still sticks with me. But what I forgot to do, Shada, in the beginning is I wanted to ask you some questions, but I don't think neither one of us would want to go on an expedition because I don't want to live that rough anymore.
Oh yeah,
I,
I don't want to go on an expedition.
no, I used to go backpacking with my mom, but I was in my 20s, and that was fun. I enjoyed it. I love nature, being out in nature, but I don't enjoy I have such a hard time sleeping. I want to sleep in something really comfortable and cool at night. I want the AC on.
Me too.
And
I can barely sleep on the couch. Like if I this morning I took Ellie out
mhm.
and then I was like, I'll just sit on the couch for a little bit. And it was comfortable, but it was still like I kept kind of waking myself up because it's not like perfect conditions.
Yeah, I'd sleep on the couch sometimes too if I feel I'm bothering your dad. So one of the questions that I wanted to bring up is, so you're packing for a months long trip into unknown territory, and we can help one another on this. Name three things you'd bring that aren't the usual camping gear.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, one of
Um,
them, for me, would be a book.
yeah,
I
definitely
don't
a
know.
book.
Yeah, book.
I'd like to bring a gaming console,
Oh,
which is I guess I don't know if I'd have to use one of the options on a charger for the game console, but
mm-hmm.
yeah,
And then,
entertainment things.
I know. I miss it to a point. I said my phone. I had my book and my phone. I couldn't think of a third thing. But yeah, it'd be chargers, but then what would you charge it into? So that was a hard one for me. But yeah, as an expedition, I'm like, I'm too old to go backpacking, or for me, I am too old. It's hard on the knees anymore. I was watching something about a weighted vest, and they said if you have any joint issues, it's not a good thing to have on you
I
because it could add more stress. And if you don't have the correct posture or a good core, strong core,
I can
then
see
it's
that.
not a good idea. You can really hurt yourself. I know I did, I borrowed yours and I did it for a little bit of a walk, and I could really start to feel it in my back. But it was a good thing I just tried it. But anyway, I don't know where I got on that. To hike with a backpack, no way. And these women, what they would do in the book, they would have to cut down. I couldn't really tell what it was. Maybe it was just me as a reader, but they were hacking through up the mountain to make a trail to go up. Because I guess this elusive beetle was supposed to be high up on a mountain. And they would do that every day. And
Yeah,
then
that sounds exhausting.
I know. And then the funny thing is, Margery Benson, she didn't know how to set up a tent. She didn't bother trying to learn before. She packed everything well, all their supplies, which I think a lot of them were lost. But she didn't know how to set up the tent, so they ended up sleeping in hammocks every night. And Enid was the one that helped set those up. And then they had to also put a netting over them, like they're really, like it was a true story, but a netting over them to keep the bugs away
Oh yeah.
at night.
Yeah, there's a that YouTube channel that I watch, Lynn Nin
Yeah,
from she's from Vietnam and she lives in Germany. She did a house tour and she showed they sleep with the mosquito nets around their beds because the bugs can just get so bad.
yeah. I don't even like to go out on the patio right now because the mosquitoes are too bad.
Yeah.
Or
Ugh.
if I do, I spray myself with, because I do want to enjoy it in the morning until it gets really hot. I think about 2, I can't take it anymore. That's lasting a long time.
I wear layers.
Yeah. I mean, that's good, but I get too hot too fast. So I've got my shorts on or capris that are really fit my down to my ankles, but they cover me up. But I have to spray my ankles really good or that's mosquitoes get into them. And remember, the aggressive ones would bite you through your clothes.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
they get really, really big, or I don't know what kind they were, but that's beside the point. But this was a good book. It was a very emotional read. I mean, I had to take a break. A couple of days, I read 2 emotional reads in a row, and I just can't do that. So you're going to get some cozies and some lighthearted and probably some middle grade books because I just couldn't. I can't do more than maybe one a month, maybe every other month. I'm not an emotional reader anymore. But for those of you who are, it was a really it still is a good book. It was just it's just kind of upsetting. Like Shada and I had talked about it earlier. It's bittersweet for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you would ever read those kind of books. You might have had to read them in school, like in high school or college. I don't know. What did they make you read in college?
College was kind of all over the place because I majored in English, but then like my favorite classes were they were medieval literature and translation classes, so I read a lot of for for an English major, I read a whole lot of Icelandic sagas in
Mm.
translation. So those are not going to be anything like like modern English literature, but I did, yeah. I read a lot of short stories and the more contemporary English stuff that I read, yeah, it was depressing.
Mm-hmm.
And and I this doesn't sound depressing, the book that you read. It just sounds like it was more of an emotional lift than you were expecting.
Yeah.
But yeah, the I think I don't understand why serious, quote unquote, serious literature has to have that weighted element to it. I mean, I guess I kind of do, but yeah, I think I think that's why I like horror so much because it's it's really dark, but it has I don't know, it's not
Doesn't touch you the same way emotionally? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I think it taps into like a primal fear or a primal nihilism or those much more primal feelings. Whereas if I'm just reading something about like, you know, maybe it's a family saga and they're just a really dysfunctional family, that is way more depressing to me because it's like I it's it's too messy. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I'd rather I feel like I can watch the news and get enough of that. I want something else to read. And and I think it's important to explore those emotions and it's safe to do it in book format, but I've never enjoyed contemporary like if it doesn't have magic, if it doesn't have swords, um there are definitely lots of exceptions to that, but as a rule, I stay away from contemporary stories because they're just, I have enough of that.
I
I can do other things.
I think that's why I focused on maybe spy novels or mysteries or cozies when I first started finding a genre that I really, really liked. It's because it wasn't, to me, it's not, it's it's away from the real world. I go, I read for different reasons, I guess, than other people do. And I don't, yeah, I don't like the family drama. I don't want to read a book that shows generation after generation and they're dysfunctional. But I'm sure it's written well and I'm sure I would have enjoyed it maybe when I was younger. I don't know. I still didn't read those kind of books. I really liked mysteries.
I
But
read, speaking of actually
mhm.
generational like family saga, I did read not super recently, maybe like a year or two ago. I read Pachinko, and I think Apple TV made a series based on it. It was very good, but I think I had a higher threshold for it because it's historical. Like it
Mhm.
starts in the very early 1900s, and then I think it ends around the 1980s. So there's still an element where I'm a little bit removed from it. So it's still a very human story, but it's this very sweeping saga, like kind of like a Game of Thrones style like scope. But it is a family saga. So I guess there are exceptions, like I said, but it was very good, but it was very emotional. There was a lot of emotional labor. And fantasy can be like that. Sci-fi can be like
Yeah,
that. It's just um but again, I think because it was historical and then also I love history, so learning about I didn't know what Japan did to Korea, those kinds
yeah.
of things where it was like, oh wow, this is crazy. Um so there was that element to keep me engaged aside from just like a standard family drama or like through a Western lens that I would be more naturally familiar with. Um, but it was really good.
That's what I've heard. I'm glad you told me it was emotional because I kind of want to read it because I love history also. And I thought they talked about when someone reviewed it that did it show the separation of Korea or how it began? Or was it, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
It doesn't, I don't think it goes into the Korean War so much. Um, it's it's very heavy about the Japanese occupation initially. And I mean, by the 80s, obviously the Koreas are separated, but I don't remember that being a huge part of,
Of the
oh no,
book.
well, it's not because they're in Japan. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
But I
They're,
thought they bring it up somehow.
they probably do, but it's this Korean family that have moved to Japan. So they're the majority of the book takes place in Japan. I'm like, why did I not remember that? Because they are Korean, but they immigrate to Japan for a bunch of different reasons.
Hmm.
But I do think you would like it. I think it's not, there are sad parts, but I think it's more interesting than, I was more interested than I was upset, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like, it was very compelling.
Well, I think the same with Miss Benson's Beetle, I guess, but I like the characters so much or I feel for them so much that when something happens, it was upsetting because it didn't want then it couldn't end the way I wanted it to. It was still
Yeah,
happy at the end, but it
just,
just didn't
yeah.
end the way I wanted to. But I have to tell you, and you probably already know this, I read Shogun and all those books.
Oh, yeah. Isn't
So
Shogun
that's like a
pretty?
saga.
Oh, yeah.
I loved
I
it.
I still need to read Shogun. I feel like that's one of those things that
I read the
I remember
whole
seeing it. Oh,
series,
oh wow.
not just
And
Shogun, but
those are
whatever.
big books.
I think I read them before you were born. I started reading them. Obviously, I had more time then. And one of your dad's coworkers was reading it, and we would talk about it when I'd go have dinner with him. But I love those books. And I think I can step away from it, even though it is I don't even really remember, but like a saga basically. But it's so far removed from our time period that I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And again, the book is Miss Benson's Beetle by Rachel Joyce. I highly recommend it. And especially if you want to go on an adventure to New Caledonia, she explains it to the detail of the heat and the bugs and the rain. Oh, that was scary. It's really, really interesting. It's really good. So we appreciate you hanging out with us. Thanks for being here and talking books with us.
And if you love stories and want to grow your TBR, hit that subscribe button and join the plot with us. And we'll see you in the next chapter. Bye, y'all.
Bye bye.